All right. Today is, of course, Make Me Day. Make Me Day has arrived. This would ordinarily be day 331 of the 15-day lockdown. And here it is. It is Make Me Day. It is time. So let's get started here as much as we can. Now, why Make Me Day? Obviously, the product we were sold, these lockdowns, has not performed as it was sold. Notice we have a bit of a problem here where Malawi is kicking the tar out of us on McCurve when it comes to total deaths. And if we do something really evil, like compare Connecticut to Sweden and South Dakota, obviously the death result did not work out as sold, did it? All right, so let's go to McCurve. Of course, this is also file under Why Make Me Day. Daily infections and testing. Sweden has managed to have days with 0 infections. Now, this isn't my data. This isn't some kooky conspiracy theorist data. This is IHME's data. This is the Bill Gates MD endorsed set of data. The same screaming curve of data they use to sell you on indefinite lockdown. All right. Now, we have again done something evil, comparing Malawi, South Dakota, and Sweden to Connecticut. Guess who loses? You'd be shocked and surprised that the place that did everything right is the one that has the most infections. Now, let's do something a little meaner and stare and compare to New York State, Dr. Fauci's poster child. New York, Dr. Fauci's poster child, is doing twice as badly as we are. And they're really doing everything right hard, aren't they? So that's where we are. 331 fear-ridden, addled, confused days of the lockdown masturbation religion. Now, 330 plus days of data are in on the things that did not work. Lockdowns, sector rules, masks, screaming, travel restrictions, capacity limits, and school closings. None of this stuff has worked, period, hands down. It is over, guys. This doesn't work. Do you need another 600 days of this, or is 330 days of this fine by you? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Now, here's what does work. And this is doctors saying this. This is not me. This is not some wacky, conspiracy thing. This is doctors actually trying to solve the problem, basically using things that are available to them. One of them is early intervention. That works. And, of course, it comes in the form of steroids, anticoagulants, ivermectin. By the way, that's why Malawi is doing so well on McCurve, because they eat it like Pez, because the water just is ridden with parasites over there. And, of course, vitamin C and D, yes, under doctor supervision. And I want to make a very careful note here. There are no plans by CDC or NIH to do these things or recommend these things, because the second they do, emergency use authorization for Miracle Jab goes the hell away. Okay? The reason that you get emergency use authorization is because you have to certify and prove to the FDA that there's nothing else you have available to do. Period. End of story. That's what this is about. It's about Miracle Jab, the thing we are so many billions of dollars invested to, along with the lockdown religion, used an excuse to just do whatever the hell people want. Now, secondary annoying effects of this prison experiment. Let's go over why we do this. Why Make Me Day? So we've denied delayed hearings in family cases, criminal cases, voluntary commitment, stuff like that. Not a big deal. We'll just put everybody's life on hold for, 330 days, shall we? Obviously, no health consequences from that, nor psychological consequences, right. So elderly and child abuse, that kind of sucks, but it happens when you isolate people, for, 330 days. Yeah. So there's a permanent loss of a year of education for children, many of them. And there's those small business closures are permanent, because 330 plus days, that's a bit of a big ask, and it's a mathematically impossible hit for small businesses to take. But wait, there's more. Much higher insurance costs are on the way because how the hell is an underwriter going to shop policies when a governor could just shut everything the hell down? And of course, you have existing infrastructure like roads, bridges. That kind of matters, and there are health consequences from infrastructure just suddenly failing. Like 330 days of lockdown religion will do that. And I know some of you screamers are going to say, but nothing's locked down. It's like, take a look at the world around you. Whether you do it partial, whether you do it some, you've obviously screwed people up with diluted fear, and fixing infrastructure is not getting done. Of course, there's higher shipping costs are on the way because you should disabuse yourself of blissful unawarenesses of keeping container ships out to sea for, I don't know, a year plus. You got a lot of these guys, they're doing crude surgery with Black & Decker power tools because McCurve, no one's going to let a lot of these guys come home to port. And of course, these are the wonderful people that, on these large container vessels give you not only the stuff from Walmart, but food and oil. You see, these guys are the reason half of the world doesn't starve and the other half doesn't freeze. So pay attention, they're definitely essential. So here's additional prices you've paid for this safety theater prison experiment. You've got the loss of life years, reduced health spans, and life expectancy permanently. Even if we end it today, what we've done is horrible and wrong, and that damage is permanent. So 331 days is day one, definitely hell too many above others. So obviously you've got these psychological effects and the permanent alteration of personalities via isolation and the prison experiment. You can't say this has been good to anybody. And I'm tired of these people yammering about, oh, but look at what the virus has done to everybody. The virus hasn't done hardly shit to anybody, nearly compared to the government response. So that's what you're dealing with. The government has done horrible things to you, and there's, of course, more. And when you're out of work, and when a lot of people are out of work, permanent or semi-permanent, your job skills, your productivity, it just starts to atrophy a slight bit. And of course, there's a permanent loss of investors and business opportunity because, again, who in the heck would want to start a business if the governor can just say McCurve and shut everything down like the criminals they are? That's wrong. And of course, churches, religious communities, those are going to close. You could go into any church. They're all having a hard time right now because these 49 criminal governors decided to take this a little too far. And of course, you have environmental damage from not maintaining infrastructure. A case in point is just one happy little example would be the CDC's headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, which everyone decided to do the whole telework thing and nobody has to do anything anymore. And suddenly, because they haven't kept up, Legionnaire's disease is making a resurgent comeback. Legionnaire's is way worse than COVID, by the way. Don't just take my word for it. Go look it up. Yes, there are other things that are bad other than COVID. And of course, you have physiological damage from a sedentary lifestyle. If you were going to try to, I don't know, make orders that made people healthier, you would want to encourage exercise, getting out. But instead, you have a bunch of screamers saying, the guy's in the park walking his dog, someone should stop him, I'm afraid. That's obviously bad for the dog, and it's bad for the victim. And yes, that person is a victim. So you screamers out there, you're the you victimize people. And you're wrong, and we're going to get to what we're going to do about you. So, of course, you also have increasingly diminished investment because of fear of what governors will do. That's kind of a problem. And the Fed cannot print enough money to, help us out of this. So the college, credit card, and mortgage debt bubbles will pop. It is happening now, and it's going to be real bad. And, of course, fewer people will have families, have children, buy cars, all that cool stuff where there's a future. So we're doing Make Me Day because we want to have a future. You see, that cannot happen if these governors keep this up a second longer. And of course, there's increased confusion and oppressively selective enforcement. Like, you get to protest so long as the governor agrees with your message or the content or your style or format. Like riding on the highway, for example. You see, what you have here is you have 49 dictators that have taken a little too far, and ninnying Congress that's not going to do its job and stop them, which is why we're at Make Me Day. So if you think you have the funds for social safety nets like Medicaid and unemployment during this lockdown, religion and masturbation nonsense, think again. Because you see, in order to like recoup for that damage, you need to write big checks. But wait, there's more. Medicare is over. 2022 to 23 will be real effing bad. And that's a function of math because you see that tax money that pays for these things, which, by the way, Medicare was in horrible shape as it was. And when you run a program that's spending $5 for every one it takes in, math is going to shut that down hard. We just accelerated it. And by the way, hospitals are closing. They're definitely underwhelmed with the elective procedures not happening. You see, that's the thing that keeps the emergency rooms open. But when you terrorize everybody and you make them abnormally, disproportionately, monomaniacally afraid, you start closing the very hospitals this lockdown religion was purportedly designed and implemented to save. So you see, your curve doesn't matter if there's no hospital to send anybody to. And state pension funds. Enjoy those while they last, because if you think this Make Me Day thing is going to be pretty bad, wait till you see a bunch of angry people on the receiving end of the state pension fund abuse. They're basically going to say, make me pay for this. And that's not going to work out all that well, will it? And of course that's higher state property taxes because, I know a lot of people have loved this whole COVID-19 emergency money flows like water, nectar of the gods, but it's over. And of course the Fed is ramping up the inflation because Wall Street bubbles are just not enough. Like, look, the truth is, if you wanted to compensate everybody for this mess, be prepared to write a $60 or maybe $80 or $100,000 check, because that's what we've done to about 3,300 million Americans. It's bad. So here's just a review. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, let's just wait for another election. No, there were no WMDs in Iraq. The Gulf of Tonkin was BS. The war on drugs never worked. The Patriot Act caught 0 terrorists. And the TSA only groped you. So why in the unholy heck do you think waiting for another election, voting harder, is going to solve this problem? And what would lead you to believe that COVID is going to be handled any differently, where anybody's going to say, my bad, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. That 330 plus days was terrible. It was inhumane. It was such a horrible idea, we should have done it. Do you think those words are ever going to come out of King Cuomo's or King Lamont's mouth? I think not. So here we are. This is basically a reality check, and this is just boiling it down. Here's what's going on. So what is this lockdown then? It's Munchausen by proxy by executive order. We're messed up here. We're treating everybody as if they're sick, and it's wrong and it's abusive and it needs to stop. And yes, it is in fact a Stanford prison experiment, and the guards are the Karens and the COVID cops. And it's a certain road paved with way too many good intentions for further dystopian ergonomic hellscapes of increasing complexity and scale. So if you don't stand up now, it's going to get a lot worse. So enough is enough. Life is worth living, and you are all essential. That's it. There's no sector rules. We're just saying it's done. You can all suck it. It's going to be over. That's what you got to do, and we have to do that because what's been done is inhumanly unacceptable. No emergency or crisis ever justified this, nor did any previous emergency precedent ever justify this. We have never done this, okay? We've had 2 world wars. We've had the threat of nuclear winter for how many decades? We've had polio that killed kids. Kids were dying left and right of polio. We didn't do this. This is crazy, and this is why we're here. So don't give me that crap about it's for grandma or I lost blank to COVID because, well, we'll get to that. But basically, you're a monster at this point if that's your justification. So Make Me Day is here. This human destruction will not end itself, and you can't vote your way out of it. You don't have an election to wait for. 2022 is too late. Only you can stop this. Only you can stop the hospitals, doctors, and small businesses from closing. That's up to you. Only you can stop the health damages from lockdown and the restriction psychosis. Hey, it's on you. So what is the goal of Make Me Day? That's it. There's only one. It's not this Occupy thing. It's not this Tea Party thing where we run off into the weeds. It's one. End the COVID restrictions now, full stop. And we continue and we will escalate until it ends. And no, this demand is not negotiable. We're not going to, reset the date of Make Me Day. We're not going to be like, oh, please, you can only abuse this on Tuesday. Or like extend our curfew a little bit. Or like, we'll let you not wear a mask while you're sitting down. No, it's over. This is it. This is where we shove it up these 49 governors' asses. And they deserve it. And we need to do it. So what can you do? Resume your life. It's March 8th, 2020 all over again. And of course, use your common sense. If you're sick, stay home, okay? This is what we normally did. Like, you would never get the flu and go around grandma. You'd be like, hey, I got the flu. Grandma, I'll have dinner with you next week. And of course, the most important thing, this is where Make Me Day gets teeth. Do not buy, sell, trade with businesses, COVID cops, or screamers on the Make Me Day banned list as published, which it's going to start with all the governors. So just assume these governors doing these restrictions are on the list. So right now, if you're a barber, don't cut Ned Lamont's hair. Screw him. If you're a plumber, don't fix his toilet. If you're an electrician, don't fix his wiring. If you're a roofer, don't fix his roof. Tell him he's a fascist, he's on his own. And of course, disaffiliate from the Democratic and Republican parties. They caused this, they enabled this, they refused to do the necessary to stop this. And I know there are some people that have just, look at me, I'm on a committee, I voted real hard. That's not good enough. And yes, I know there are exceptions that have actually filed lawsuits, that have actually, done everything they possibly could. But just sitting there and running for office is not good enough. You actually got to sue somebody. You actually got to go out. You've got to organize rallies. You've got to do everything you possibly can. Just don't sit there and ninny and say, but the Democrat opposition, burp-a-derp-a-derp. You have no idea how bad it is if that's what you're still saying, and that's what you're still trying to sell us. So the rest of us know better, and we're moving on without you, because you're useless. And of course, common concerns. Let's just go over some of these. A lot of people always love to say, you need a critical mass because derp-a-derp, you need X% of people. No human history change has ever happened because there's been a critical mass. That's just never how anything in human history has ever worked. Okay, the bottom line is, one or two guys got together and they just said, we're doing this. Like they invented fire, okay, or they invented like agriculture, and it kind of caught on. Or, take, for example, a heavy progressive, regressive income tax. Any central bank of issue. That was 1,000 people. And by the way, back in 1913, those ideas were horrible. They're horrible now, but they were actually rejected by the public as horrible. It was absolute insane, wasn't it? And of course, it works both ways. It takes a few people to get together and figure it out, and then it just catches on. You build it, it'll come. So let's get going. And of course, you've got your fence sitters. There have always been the majority. The American Revolution was, basically a conflict involving 6-7% of the population. The rest were just sitting around waiting to see who would get the upper hand or who would win, so then they could come in afterwards and be like, I was on your side all the time. Well, the truth is, you can suck it, and that's not the case, but we don't need them. We need the people who are, they're willing to go that mile, and that's all we need, and we got the people we need, and we're going to go over those numbers in a second. And of course, these screamers and the enforcers are already working overtime to promote the narrative as an illusion of popularity. If you're watching this on Facebook, for example, you always see is this, we're in it together. So many ads from the state of Connecticut. It is just amazing how many and how often and how frequent. And in multiple languages. Like, they're really working overtime because they know they've gone too far. It's propaganda. And obviously, if the data hasn't convinced you of that, nothing will. And of course, this is the Screamers data. So the thing you also have to bear in mind is most people are complying not because they believe in this. Take off your damn mask and you'll see people look at you like, for the most part, like, God bless him. It's about time someone stood up to these thugs. And that's what I'm counting on you to do because it matters. Now, most people lay low because they just want to be left alone. It's just like the Soviet Union. Most people in the Soviet Union, they had a picture of Stalin in their shop or their home. Not because they liked Uncle Joe. They just wanted to be left alone. They didn't want to be questioned. So going along, the bottom line is, going along means you're going to get more of this lockdown nonsense. and you will eventually never ever be left alone. It will never be good enough. You've heard about the two-mask thing, which was a kind of a favorite joke of mine, and then Fauci said it, and he kind of ruined the joke. Now you're hearing talk about anal swabs, and you've already seen several state departments of health say you got to wear a mask while you do it. This is just perverted stuff here, guys. And of course, one of the things that's kind of everyone's hoping is going to happen, it's not going to happen. Are they just going to bail everybody out? And of course, this is from the Department of the Treasury. And here's where we are so far. Fiscal year 2021, which starts in October of every year, we've got, we're running up $600 billion deficits already. The year isn't even, this is not going to last, guys. It ends bad. So let's just do a breakdown of the comparison of forces here. So you've got the COVID cops and the screamers versus normal people, okay? Now, what are the bad guys working with here? You've got 49 governors, and don't give me this crap about the Republican governors are relaxing it. They went along with it, they own it, they go on the damn list, period. They enabled it, time to suffer the consequences. So, these guys and the Federal Reserve's printing press do not actually command resources or services. You see, they require your consent, and they require assets they got from somewhere else to function. The same goes for the COVID cops. It's just like the king's tax collectors before the American Revolution. Tar, feathers, they're on sale, proverbially in this case, and we'll get to our or else in a short bit. So you've got the committed screamers. They're hiding at home. They're too addled in terror to support the 49 governors trying to remake society in their own image. And of course, you have a public sector and a court system too bogged down to enforce the executive edicts and administrator overlords. And yes, there are good guys on the inside in the court system, in the public sector. Please work with us on this, and we'll get to some things we can all do in a second. So, who are the good guys? The useful people. Basically, you've got the entire hospitality industry that's been disproportionately punished, 1/5 of the economy, I might add. You've got construction workers, tradesmen, utility, energy workers, basically people who go out and do things and produce and make things of value. Not a group of people I would likely want to piss off, but, 49 governors decided to do it, so let's have at it, shall we? One thing you got to bear in mind, and this is going to come up because, you're going to have natural questions. What do I do if I get screamed at for not wearing a mask? Understand the motivations of the deluded screamer and where we are. Obviously, there's genuine terror. A lot of people are yes, COVID's real. Don't sit there and say you just think it's not real. Don't even build that red herring. I'm just going to tell you to screw off because you're a monster and you've gone too far. So these people who are genuinely addled in terror, it's time for them to buy a respirator, stay home, and screw off. That's where we are. Because you see, you can sit around and we can play your safety theater game only for so long. But when people have no ability to earn a living and, move the products and services that said, screamers need to stay home and be terrified, roads, bridges, machine tools, all that stuff is essential. It matters. So buy a respirator, stay home, screw off. COVID is here to stay. You blew it. Obviously, you didn't follow the science. Your theory was wrong. You wasted 330 days. Game over. Piss off. And of course, the people you really need to tell to piss off, you've got these people in the supermarket. They're like, yeah, you need a mask. Or like, you're walking the wrong way. These people are on a power trip. They desire to get their rocks off. They're horrible people who need to suffer the consequences of horrible acts. And they need an economic ban for life. That's where we're going. And of course, the other people are, afraid of the enforcers. Look, you want to put us on the cattle cars, you suffer the consequences of horrible acts and you get the economic ban for life. That's where we are. More Q&A for John and Jane Q Public. What if I feel like wearing a mask? Answer, cool, your choice. Do it up. Wear 5. Don't give a shit. And of course, what if I get screamed at? Just disengage, walk away. Complain to the business where it happened and withdraw your spending from that business for life. And of course, when we get the reporting function up on MakeMeDay.com, report them. We need to know, where do we not spend our dollars? More you can do to help. You got a ticket for not wearing a mask. You didn't fill out the form for the travel ban. Fight it. Screw them. Demand your day in court. It's your right. It's your right to due process. Let them fight us all. It's time. Let's see them enforce all of it. I dare them. And you know what? You're going to feel good. You're going to learn something. And hey, you need to take the fight to them. You're really tired of the restrictions? Sue the enforcers. Learn as you go. Essential superhero state marshals and process servers need to put food on their tables, and your complaints need to go into the COVID overlord's hands. It's not legal advice. Figure it out on your own. Look, you got a court system. Use it or lose it. That's where we are. Protest early and often. And by the way, it's not just protests that are First Amendment. It's also petitioning for redress of grievance. So go ahead. Freedom of Information Act request. We need as many copies and records of COVID enforcement complaints filed by the Screamers as we can get. We need to update these people. We need to publish them. We need to let people know. Do not associate with these people who've ratted on businesses, who have screamed about somebody not wearing a mask. They need to be economically isolated for life. Most importantly, resume your normal life as of March 8th, 2020. That's what you got to do. Now, businesses. What can my business do? Get a copy of the Make Me Day self-certification and no trespassing notice. My email's up there. There it is. Or it will eventually be available on makemeday.com. Of course, when available as amended. Most importantly, if you're a business, don't care what it is. Don't care if, you're a cobbler, you work on shoes. Don't care if you're a tailor. Don't care if you're a restaurant. Don't care if you're a plumber. Do not serve or allow COVID enforcers, reporters, or governors on your premises, period. Tell them to piss off and get a warrant. Remember, it's your livelihood at stake. No amount of PPP loans or stimulus can cover the damage they've already done to you, nor could it be mathematically attempted or contemplated. So, this is it. Put up or shut up. Poop or get off the pot, as it were. And of course, what else can your business do? Preferred business list. It's going to become available. We're going to have, common sense businesses where, we're going to be like, hey, they're not going to bust your stones for not wearing a mask. We're going to drive business toward those people that are not harassing their customers. So your scenario is simple. It's Make Me Day, or it's restrictions putting you out of business, period. That's where you are. And if you think just because, okay, I'm not a restaurant, or I'm not one of these non-essential sectors, think again. They're starting to wipe out entire fifths of the economy, okay? 20% of the economy, they're trying to wipe it out, and they're trying to work on that a little more. So it's Make Me Day, or you starve. That's it. You like the idea of Soviet Russia, go over there, try to start it again. But here in the United States, we do Make Me Day, because freedom doesn't protect itself, nor does trying to send somebody overseas to pretend they're actually fighting for your freedom. The fight for freedom is over here. So the COVID cops, the governors, the regulators don't care about your ability to operate. They don't negotiate. You shouldn't either. Stand your ground. And yes, resume normal hours and conditions operative per the state of the law as of March 8th, 2020. Don't use this as an excuse to be a jackwagon and say, I'm not going to take care of things, or I'm going to be unnecessarily filthy or unsafe or whatever. Use your common sense. I mean, we'll get to changes that we can make in the long term, but for now, it's Make Me Day or it's nothing. So, Q&A for business owners. What if not enough businesses sign up? Answer, you don't have another year of capital lying around to find out, do you? That's just the truth. Now, you can negotiate if you want, because doing this is going to be relatively uncomfortable, and I'm telling you that up front. So it's either you can be uncomfortable and take a risk and succeed, and we can overthrow the COVID cult, or you go out of business anyway. So, that kind of goes to the next question. Can't I just wait it out? No. The data metrics of restrictions are going to continue indefinitely. So are the government COVID contracts. Those go many into 2025 and beyond. So do a little homework and find out all the bids they've been putting out and all these different COVID-related projects. This is not gonna go away, after April. They don't plan on it. So the thing is, you have to make them. That's where you are. And of course, can't I just vote harder? See above. You now have a problem you can't vote away because you thought along the lines of the first questions. Maybe if a new puppetant comes in, things will change and I can wait 2 years. No, we've gone too far. You did that for way too long. The fight has been brought to you. The question is, how do you answer? And by the way, you don't get to pick the time you live in. You just get to pick what you do with it. So, by the way, an FYI for businesses out there going along to get along, also in the works is going to be a list of businesses that treat people badly for not wearing a mask or socially distancing. Yep, we're coming after you. So if you want to be a screamer, I should say we're not coming after you. We're not coming to you ever again. You're going out of business. We're boycotting you. That's it. So it's your choice as a business whether or not you want to get on the bad boy list or not. And remember, you exist solely to deliver your product or service, not to please the COVID cult or the imposers. Now, when has pleasing the government ever put food on the table in a free country? You think deeply. What kind of country do you want to live in? And of course, pleasing the composers is a losing proposition. It does not help you feed your family. And we're just going to accelerate that process because enough's enough. Now, of course, more for your business going along to get along. Note that is some businesses have used COVID restrictions to report on others, and the thinking is if I am a screamer and I shut down my competition, it's going to make new customers come to me, or because misery loves company. Well, either way, if misery loves company, you're a sick little bastard, and obviously you don't deserve customers, and we'll see to it that you don't have them. Or if you're trying to shut down your competition, we're going to shut you down first. So don't even worry about that. It is a total you're with us or against us at this point. And of course, if it is verifiably discovered that you, a business owner, have reported on another business or citizen for a COVID violation, your business also goes up on the banned list for life. So in other words, if you're a restaurant and you rat on another restaurant or you rat on someone in public and we find out you own a business, we're not going to that business. So don't do that. That's your best, smartest option. So this idea of businesses ratting on each other or screaming that, because misery loves company, it's over. Your common enemy is the COVID cult and the governors. So let's do this the smart way, shall we? So what's this look like for the COVID cops, the governors, and the screamers who get reported to MakeMeDay.com? Flat tire, tow truck ain't coming. Driver's going to get lost, still have something else better to do. You're screwed. He's going to have other tires to change or cars to tow. Broken toilet, plumber doesn't show up at 3 in the morning, going out to eat. Waiter says, piss off, I don't serve fascists, get the hell out of here. You look like my governor. Yeah, I remember that time you screwed up an entire year of earnings, didn't you? So get out, pound sand. Of course, you got picked up by the other cops as a COVID cop. Bail bondsman won't come. You're going to rot in jail. How long? For life. So participation in a prison experiment has a price. You're paying it. And by the way, just following orders is no excuse. I think Nuremberg pretty much established that principle. And just the same, when this is over, there's going to be a lot of lawsuits. So don't think that you're going to do this forever, because it's done. You're going to stop. So if you're a COVID cop or a screamer, and you've got that thought in your head, I'm thinking about reporting or enforcing a COVID violation, what are my options? Smart option, the kind option, the humanitarian option is look the other way. You didn't see nothing, did you? And of course, you might not have the ability to recall if anybody asks, because, hey, this whole COVID thing's pretty stressful. It's kind of affecting your memory, isn't it? So that's the low intensity way out of this. So if you're a good guy on the inside, look the other way. We got your back. Don't worry about it. And of course, let's just say you're dead set. You really want to just, oh, that guy didn't wear a mask, or that restaurant has too many people in it, or whatever. Consider your preferred choice of moving company if you want to enforce COVID restrictions or report on a person or a business. And by the way, if you think you're going to, sue your way out of this problem, you screwed up the court system. You wrecked it. They're backlogged. Best of luck on that. So moving forward, economic isolation is just the beginning, okay? The rallies and the protests will continue. They're going to get bigger. Strikes are an option. The worst thing we can do to you is nothing if you're a bad guy. And yes, more lawsuits will happen, especially for the time when this does end, and the COVID cops and the governors must be held to account for what they did. If you ask me, I didn't need to be a goddamn doctor to know that it was stupid to send COVID patients to a nursing home. What did these governors do? Just that. So, involuntary manslaughter, prison experiments, Munchausen by executive order by proxy, it's going to get you sued. It's going to get you not liked. That's just the way it is. And of course, showing up at the Capitol or your state capital or even D.C. and not leaving until the restrictions end, that's on the table. That's an option. It's not a violent thing. It's just we're not going anywhere until it's over. And maybe these people resign. That would be great because you see, Iceland gets it. They know how to do this. They did it in 2008. They just showed up. They said, the hell, there will be bailouts. And 6,000 people showed up in front of their parliament building with road flares in hand. And yes, they were lit. And the prime minister quit. And then there were no bailouts. Magic. See, that's what we need to do. It's time we took that lesson serious. And of course, the COVID cops and the 49 governors have rapidly decreasing options and the ability to keep the population under national house arrest. No, this will not be televised, and no, it doesn't need to. So, it's time to open up, whether the governors like it or not, whether it's easy, whether it's convenient. As you see, your reinforcements, you have arrived. You're here. This is the time you're given. Decide what to do with it. Someone else should never be the busiest person working on the problem. And tomorrow or some future date should never be the busiest day of the week, month, or year. Effort today, surprisingly minimal effort, is a lot better than waiting another year, of riots and selective enforcement and more controls. Because you see, they're going to dial them back and they're going to reimpose them. I know, it's done. We know what the game is. The jig is up. That's it. And by the way, waiting for things to be more popular or easier or convenient is what caused the problem you now face. That's life. That's how you got here. Doing the opposite is the only way to do it. It's the rule of holes. Stop filling it in. Start digging. And of course, long term, after we succeeded, we're going to have to be demanding an end to what led to this lockdown and restrictions. Some of these laws are crap, that have been used to justify this. We're going to have to unwind all of it. And no, this will never, ever be allowed to remotely come close to happening again. So, get to work. It's time. MakeMeDay.com. We're going to have more up. More is going to be coming. We're going to do larger protests in the future. We're going to have a big launch, relaunch in the spring. We're just getting started, guys. So the bottom line is the discussion is over. 330 plus days of data are in. None of this crap worked as designed and sold. And Miracle Jab can suck it because that's not the answer either. We blew COVID. It's here. It's a fact of life. Now it's time to get living again. So let's get to work. Hope to see you at MakeMeDay.com, and we'll go from there. And please do share this. Do upvote this. We need to make this go national. We need a Make Me Day movement in every state. Of course, South Dakota, you don't need that because their governor is relatively sane, well-adjusted, and doing this nonsense. So, Kristi Noem, thumbs up. Otherwise, we've got 49 tyrants to answer for what they did. And let's economically isolate them. It's time to get to work. Stay well, use your common sense, and peaceful is the way. And this is the way we get it done. So you have a tool in your hand. You don't like the restrictions. It's up to you to end them. So until then, I will talk to you soon, and we will go from there.